My name is Maya. I use she, her, or they, them pronouns. I'm living in Sonoma County, California.
Wine country.
Yeah. So busy, so hot. And we've just started fire season too.
Oh, no.
Started early.
I'm Davi Cheng from Los Angeles. She, her. I identify as the Chinese, Hong Kong-born lesbian Asian Jew.
My name is Lee, and I go by he, him pronouns, and I live in Central Arkansas and identify as a trans Jew of color. I'm from California, so I wish I was there.
Where in California?
San Francisco. I really, really wish, I was there because there'd be more people to, interact with, especially, Jews of color, Jews in general, and then even, LGBTQ Jews. It's just, I feel so, there's not a lot going on here.
Is there a LGBT group there in Arkansas?
There's a group. I haven't gotten too involved with them, and there's a small, very small group in our temple. I've gone to one Pride Shabbat before the pandemic happened and everything. There's a temple up north really far away from me, but I wouldn't say they're more inclusive, but they have more people. So I don't know, maybe one day I'll make it out there to see some folks.
What about you, Maya?
Well, right now I'm on a property at the top of Sonoma County in the middle of nowhere, so there's not a lot. But I split my time between here and San Francisco. So when I'm in San Francisco, there's a lot. I mean, there will be when I can get out and see people again.
Right. The one, I guess, good thing that's coming out of, the pandemic is all these Zoom meetings and events, because, I get to interact with people that I wouldn't get to interact here, especially with the community being so small.
Yeah, I guess I'm the lucky one because I'm in LA and I belong to the world's first LGBTQ synagogue. It was actually founded by four gay men, and we're totally just inclusive, welcoming. So I'm very lucky. I have a whole community of Jews that I belong to, gay Jews. And, anytime you guys want to jump onto our Shabbat services, it's all online and you could sign in. Go to our website.
That's great.
Yeah, every Friday night we have services.
I will definitely go to one of those one day because I've been going to a couple.
I'm curious because I've been around a little longer than both of you, and I'm wondering how your family, whether Asian part or the Jewish part, how does each side of the family accept LGBTQ?
My family's pretty open, but I don't know. I think we talk about the Asian part more than we talk about the LGBTQ part. I don't know why. We just do. My family's just kind of they don't really care. They're just, do what you want, date who you want, be who you want, as long as you're not hurting anyone, whatever. They just kind of let it be.
Time is different now because I lived through the 1980s AIDS epidemic. I was still in the closet. I mean, I was in the closet for a long, long time before I even told my parents.
My parents aren't handling the transition very well. My mom, who is Filipino, she's communicating with me, telling me her feelings I don't understand this, I don't really approve of this, but I still love you. And my dad, the only time I've heard him talk about it is with my grandma, and they're just yes, we're going to still misgender her because she is, my daughter and granddaughter.
It's hard.
Yeah, and I don't know, culturally, if I was expecting my mom to have, a harder time with it, but, the fact that she's a little more understanding kind of caught me off guard. Recently, they started referring to me as Abba, which is what my kids call me, and the other day I saw them, and they called me Lee, which is a huge step. They're still saying her, but it's a huge, huge step, so hopefully it's one of those things that's going to take time, because, I get it. I get parents giving birth to you and having their vision of their life. I love that, your family, Maya, is just don't hurt anyone, just do whatever.
I mean, I think my dad, the first time I went out with a girl, I'm I'm going on a date. They're great, who is it? Who is he? I'm it's a she. And they're oh. And my dad was totally fine with it. He was that's great. Cool, we'll drop you off. But I remember really hesitating and telling my mom. I don't know why. My dad was just, for some reason, was the open one. Who I felt I could talk to at least about that. And I remember saying it as I'm leaving. I'm by the way, you're dropping off. Oh, and I'm going out with her. I never give them a lot of time to think about it.
Right.
I'm just here you go. Bye. And then they can deal with it on their own. I don't like having to deal with the reaction. So I try and time it. perfectly so they can deal with their reaction by themselves.
When I came out to my parents, I did it over the phone. It wasn't my choice. I was just like, hey, Mom, I gotta talk to you. And like, I knew I shouldn't have done that. She's like, what is it? What is it? What is it? And she called me immediately and she's like, tell me now. And I'm like, okay. And it was just like immediate silence. So like that didn't go over so well. But it's funny. I remember being it was either like the last year of middle school or the first year of high school. And I told my parents like, hey, I think I might like girls. I don't know. I don't, and my dad was like, okay, it's cool to explore things and da-da-da. And my mom like got upset and cried, but now it's like different.
I think it makes a big difference when the Supreme Court came down and said you could legally marry. I mean, that just changes the whole society attitude towards same gender marriage. I was just looking up some date before I came on. My spouse and I met in college, and we were married in the synagogue, just between us and God, because it wasn't legal at that time in 1997. And then we drove to San Francisco when Gavin Newsom was giving out marriage license in San Francisco. That was 2004. And in 2008, the California state, you could legally marry. So we married again. And then it was put on hold. Remember the whole thing? They were going to, Prop 8 came in and it was put on hold until 2015. So, wow, it's like nobody have to go through things like that except our group. And people say, it's only a marriage. What's the big deal? Well, there's all the benefit, Social Security, insurance coverage. People don't think about all those little things that comes with marriage license.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where I recognize how privileged and lucky I am, because even though I am a trans man and I am married to a man, our marriage is, legally heterosexual, so we have all those benefits. I was trying to remember the day that same-sex marriage became legal all over, because at first I think when Arkansas tried to do it, it got shut down, and then it wasn't that long after that legally it became was legal all over, and that was really great.
So I don't know, with me, I thought it was harder. Well, they're both just as hard. It was really hard when I came out to my mom. My father already passed away then. And then when I became Jewish, I have to come out again as a Jew to her. And it was kind of hard too. She was so devastated. She go, I guess I won't see you in heaven. Well, I have 4 generations. My great-grandfather converted the family into Christianity. So I think it's a personal attack when you switch religion like that. But
right.
Yeah.
And my family was like, well, I don't know. So my family had absolutely no issue with me dating whoever I wanted. They had like a bigger issue with like what I was doing in my life. Like I've been part of the kink scene in San Francisco, and they saw, I used to run a club, and they saw ads for that. And my dad was like, so what are you doing in your spare time? I'm like, so I can date whoever I want. You just don't like where I'm meeting them or where I'm hanging out. He was just not, my parents were like super, super not happy. So the line gets drawn. The line just doesn't get drawn with who I'm with. But that was a whole getting shoved out that I didn't want that conversation.
My family, when I told them I was converting, they were actually pretty chill about it. Growing up, my mom was Catholic, and my dad, I guess when he grew up, he went to what's it called? What's the universal? I can't think of what it's called. But when I was growing up, we always went to a Southern Baptist church. And so I was kind of nervous on their reactions, but they were pretty okay with it. Even now, they come over for Hanukkah and they like to see the traditions and the things we're doing. And I think that's really good.
Yeah, time definitely have changed. I remember sneaking out to gay bars, sneaking in. I don't want anybody to see me. It was really a scary time when AIDS was really running rampant too. I know quite a few people that die of it. So in my short period lifespan, I've seen a lot of changes.
I was at the store earlier, and I think it's Kellogg's, they had a whole cereal box about, I guess because of Pride Month, allyship. It said on the side, he, her, he, him, they, them, and it said write your own pronouns, and it was talking about how gender doesn't have a box, and I was like, that's really cool. I mean, you know, like, are you trying to profit off of us, or but like to actually see that like on something in the store was pretty cool.
Well, at my shul, when people come in, we have a basket of buttons with different pronouns, and you get to pick whatever you want and put it on, so then we know how to address each other.
Oh, I love that.
That's amazing.
I think our temple just does like, you get like the little name stickers if you're newish. And so for the longest time before I converted, I was just wearing it with my pronouns. I've noticed doing the Zoom services with my temple, like a lot of people, even, you know, cis hetero people are using their pronouns in their Zoom thing. And I think it's becoming more of a normal thing now, which is pretty great.
Yeah, I think so too, which is wonderful. I mean, I'm completely out. To the last job that I was in, I was completely out. And it was funny because it was during that time California just started to recognize I call it same gender marriage because I think same sex changed the meaning of the terminology, same gender marriage. And my coworker didn't know what to do. You know, usually you throw like a little party, and so they took me out to lunch and gave me a little card and a little Macy gift card. I go, oh, this is kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I also heard a parent a long time ago, you know about PFLAG, Parents and Friends of LGBTQ. His parents said, you know, it takes the child 30 or 20 some years to come out. When they tell you, the parent goes into the closet because the parent has to deal with their community, their friends. And so that was a good analogy, I guess, of how they feel. We have to, you know, give them time too to get adjusted to the feelings.
Yeah, I really like that because, you know, my parents are adjusting, but so is my husband because he considers himself heterosexual, and now he's, I guess, struggling with what that makes him. The other day he was like, I think based on like something a coworker said, he's like, I think, you know, queer fits our relationship more. And I was like, yeah, I mean, you know, you like what you like, but so he's been processing a lot of his own feelings, and when we talked about it, he said it's not getting used to you and your version of yourself because you've always, you know, been the same, like you haven't changed really. It's getting used to like a new version of myself, and I think that's, he was talking about like what his sexuality means to him, being married to a trans man. Since I've come out, we use the term partner right now instead of spouse, and he doesn't use the term husband for me, which I'm okay with. I don't know if he ever will, but
I have to ask, this might be a personal question, and if you don't want to answer, that's fine. Do you live in fear of people harming you?
For like being trans?
Yes.
Yes, because of the location I am in Arkansas. I am, and we have had back-to-back anti-trans laws being passed recently. But as far as like the specific bills that have passed recently, like the bathroom one, I'm more concerned about trans women being more prone to violence. I mean, today I got like a lot of looks and things, but you know, I can get over looks and things. I don't know if someone would harm me. If there's some spaces I don't feel comfortable in, there I do, like, I don't want to go by myself. But like with me being a trans man with children, and for just like, I've been on my transition for almost 3 months now, you know, I get misgendered like quite a lot. So I don't feel as much in fear as my trans sisters or something like that. I don't know if I feel like it'd be easier to transition like in, you know, if we were back in California. I know like all over is pretty more accepting of like the LGBTQ community. And I don't want to assume like, oh, it's California, so they're, you know, more okay with trans people. But, you know, when you're deep in the South, I just, you know.
I think the trans community is still just struggling. I mean, even with our community, we try to have panel discussions and trans recognition, Shabbat. It's difficult still.
I think it's making progress, but I agree with the trans community struggling. I feel like people like being more accepting of the trans community is like in its infancy stage. Like I said, the fact that I think it's becoming more of a normal thing for people to use pronouns, I think is a great step. I've seen a lot of, like you said, meetings and seminars about using inclusive language and everything. That's what I've been trying to get kind of going around here, especially like I'm a homeschool parent. So in the community over here, it's homeschool mom and mom this. And so being a stay-at-home parent, but I think it will like make its way at some point.
So Maya, is there a large Asian community where you are, or?
Not really. Sonoma County's really white. There's a smattering, I suppose, but not a lot.
Yeah, that makes it difficult too. But, I don't know. I always have trouble with the Asian community.
I always thought, like, I look at the full-on Asian families, and I never fit in with those kids, because their families look at me and go, well, she's not Asian enough, whatever Asian, because, you didn't fit. And then, like, I grew up with a lot of other adoptees who were Asian, and that kind of helped, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm 100% Asian, but then I'm too gay for the Asian, or too Jewish or whatever.
Yeah, I find it's a very small category.
I was going to ask y'all if you have any problems more like being like LGBTQ in the Jewish community or Jewish in the LGBTQ community. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I pretty much stick around with my LGBTQ Jewish synagogue because it's just so comfortable. That's my comfort zone, my bubble. I have gone out and met other LGBTQ community. I guess in Los Angeles, we're so large that I'm very, very lucky. I know more LGBTQ Jews than LGBTQ people, I guess. And I don't know too many Asian LGBTQ, period.
That's interesting. See, it's like the opposite. A lot of my friends are LGBTQ, but most of them aren't Jewish. But I've learned that the people I grew up with, like in Hebrew school and stuff, there are quite a few LGBTQ people in that group. I'm not super close with them though anymore. Like we were friends when we were in Hebrew school and stuff. But I definitely know way more LGBTQ people just from the scene than I do from anywhere else.
And how many Asian LGBTQ?
A handful, not a lot. Mostly I know a lot of white people. At least in my group of friends, I'm like the one Asian. Or the couple, one of a couple Asian. And then get thrown in the, she's an attractive Asian Jew. Or not Jew, necessarily. So if we get to the Jew part, that always gets thrown in, though. Because everyone's always surprised that I'm Jewish. So that's, like, always one of the, oh my God, guess what? This is my friend. Meet her. She's Asian, and she's Jewish. And she's, and then and she's whatever else. That's always a huge surprise to people. And something that they have to remark on.
I definitely understand that. All my other friends will send me like some kind of meme or something they saw on Facebook. They're like, I thought of you, and they're not Jewish, but it'll be like some Jewish thing. Like, I saw this random color recipe on like Facebook, and I thought of you. I was like, thanks. So like, or they just have like a random question. So like, I'm the go-to, like in our friend group. I don't know any like Asian, Jewish, LGBTQ folks except for y'all, not anywhere in Arkansas that I can think of. Well, I know like people that would identify as like people of color that are LGBTQ, but like not specifically Asian. And like I don't know too many people that are LGBTQ in the Jewish community.
Most people I know don't advertise.
Yeah.
Like I would never know. Like I know now because I follow their social media and I'm like, oh, hi, didn't know. I've just noticed that that's one of the last things they'll say about themselves.
Right.
I mean, I think I'm a lot more open about being Jewish than I am about other aspects of my life. Because it's easier and like, I don't know, I feel really like I don't like labels.
Yeah, I don't like it either. I mean, why do we have to pronounce who we are?
I'm like, I love people. And if they have good hearts, and they're kind, I don't really care. Sure, people can slap labels on it, but it doesn't really matter to me, and I don't really give people one. That's kind of why I did in the beginning. I'm like, I don't know, why does it matter? And I think then you get put into boxes, and I think that that's one of my other issues is that I've been put into lots of different boxes in my life, surrounding my sexuality, and I just don't even go there anymore. I'm like, if you have an issue, you can go.
Things definitely are changing though. Like our temple is gonna be celebrating 50th anniversary next year, and one of the biggest discussion we had, because I am the past president there, one of the big discussion we have had in the past few years was, okay, all the other synagogues are very inclusive now. They're all open. They don't have to come to a LGBTQ synagogue. So what is our purpose anymore? Before, because they have no place to go, they come here. But now everyone is open. So it's a lot more competitive now for us actually to try to get people to come to our temple. But it is still very different when you walk in the shul and the majority are gay or trans or whatever. It's very different.
But there's like I like that there's a sense of community there. Like it's one thing to hear inclusive. Like we have a synagogue that's near us that's LGBTQ, inclusive. And they're the one that I think it advertises it the most near me, but I actually haven't been there. But I think it's different walking in and feeling at home.
Yeah.
I feel like you're with your people twice.
We have our own Siddur prayer books and took out all the gender.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, see, I would love that. Like I said, I'm not really in my LGBTQ Jew community, but like I said, Pride Shabbat's about as close as I got, because I think, the majority that was there, I don't see them any other day, at the temple. So, it's just no, wait, come back.
So Pride Month's coming up. Do your town have Pride parades and Pride Week?
I think ours happens, and I might be wrong, I think ours happens around, or it did happen around October. I haven't been paying attention because of the pandemic. I think, was it 2 or 3? It might have been 2 or 3 years ago was the last time I went to a Pride parade before everything happened. And now I'm just I know, boo, labels, but because I'm fairly new on this transition, being out and proud about being trans, I want to go. I want to wear my little trans flag, but that sucks. I can't because of the pandemic. I mean, even if there was something going on this year, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable going, with everything going on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there's anything here. I mean, usually there's stuff in San Francisco, but I'm not a crowd person. I have a thing I don't like not knowing who's at my back. It makes me extremely uncomfortable. So I don't usually go out and do the pride parades and everything. It's just, and in San Francisco, it's so many people. It's become so commercialized, which is another thing I don't really like.
Yeah, we have that Christopher Street West. For a long time, those kind of parade, the news reporting usually just zoom in on all the radical dressed people. They don't really represent the normal LGBTQ population.
Well, and it's become such a hip thing to go to now.
Is it?
It has. I mean, especially in San Francisco, it's the thing. People will go. And I hate it. I really don't like it.
Even if they're allies, not LGBTQ or something?
Yeah, I think because it's turned into, like I said, it's more commercialized, I feel like.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean.
I'm happy people are allies, don't get me wrong. I think people should go if they want to go. But there is something about it. It feels overdone on some level and superficial. Mm-hmm. And I don't love that part of it.
Yeah.
Because you look around the world and you still see people struggling, and it's not something just we're not just going out here to have fun. There's a reason this is happening, and there's a history behind this.
Yeah, well, in the past it's for visibility, right?
Yeah.
Our temple march in it because nobody knew there's gay Jews. That's the other thing too. Nobody knows there's gay Jews. I founded a klezmer band at the temple, so we usually rent a flatbed truck, and the band would sit on top of the truck and we play half a nagila all the way down the parade route.
That's great. I get what you're saying. And I feel like pride parades now should be more, a sense of community and all that, not oh, let's see what's happening on Saturday. Oh, look, there's going to be all these vendors for this pride thing, but, I just want to go last minute. I want to be there because I want to be with community. Like I said, where I live, that would, I don't know, be a safe space or whatever, feel like it. I don't know if it really is, but, and that's what I was talking about. I like seeing that cereal box, but around Pride time, certain companies, their cringe factor. I saw some Pride clothes at, I don't know if it was Target or Walmart. I was these are a little excessive. I don't know if anyone would actually wear this.
I've seen wine and champagne bottles too with a rainbow on them.
Right.
It's when you start seeing it in the Target dollar section.
Yeah.
I'm okay, here we are.
But I think in a way, it's a way for the company to show that, hey, we are diverse, we welcome you.
I think that part of it's great.
If your company can show that 364 days after the one day that you show,
Yeah.
then I support that. But like, I feel like some of these companies will do that. They'll come for Pride, be like, look how inclusive we are because we mixed all the colors in this one candy or whatever, and and then like the rest of the whatever, we're silent on all other issues. We have a local ice cream place here called Lob Lolly, and they're pretty vocal about LGBTQ issues. So like, and not just during Pride Week. So like, I consider y'all a true ally versus, I don't know, like Colgate, who might put a rainbow on their toothpaste for like 1 month.
But you know what? I just realized now that you guys are talking about merchandise, I don't think I ever seen rainbow flags in any Asian market. Like 99 Ranch, I don't think I have.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering if there, I mean, like I said, I haven't been to Pride in forever. I'm wondering, like, is there, like, other LGBTQ Asians in my community? I guess it'd be easier to find in California.
Certain parts of California.
Certain parts of California, yeah, you're true.
At least for me, like, I'm in a stage in my life where I'm trying to reevaluate my identity in lots of different places, and like doing this project has given me a lot of food for thought, you know, about my Jewish side, about my Asian side, about being adopted, just thinking about how I fit in lots of different places. So I feel like sexuality is probably going to come back on the table of like, well, we're evaluating things, and my brain's just going to be like, let's just evaluate everything.
There's an AAPI group here in LA. But I know about them, but I never joined. I don't know why. I just stick with my Jewish group.
It's weird being part of those. Like, I've thought about doing some of those AAPI things, but not growing up, you know, in an Asian environment. Like, I think of myself as Asian, and I say that I'm an Asian American, but I don't feel very Asian. It's just not there.
Because you're Asian American.
Yeah. But also just not having, like, it's not my parents' culture. I don't know. It's like my own little random fusion. You know, then we throw in the Jewish part, and, you know, like, then there's that. It's strange feeling othered in certain communities.
Right.
I don't really know where my place is exactly in the LGBTQ community. Like, I know I fit somewhere. I don't know where I'd stick myself. Like, you give me a chart, I don't know where I'd put myself. I know I wouldn't stick myself right smack in the middle of the Asian community either. I'd put myself in a very small Asian adoptees box.
Right.
So LUNAR is great because here we are talking to each other.
I'm so thankful for LUNAR because it's helped me so much with my Asian identity. Like, y'all don't even know. Even though I had the environment as far as living, you know, with my Filipino mother, we moved from California to the South. And so, like, I was not around like a lot of other Asians. Doing the first like LUNAR interview, that was probably the most I've spoken to like Asian Americans, like, and that was such a great feeling. Like, I've struggled so much with like, I'm not Asian enough, especially allowing like people, like you said, people putting you in boxes. I guess I don't know if it's a down here thing. Like, I hear a lot like, you are what your daddy is, like what your dad is. And, you know, my dad is white, like he's Italian American. So I was like, but my like the culture and like the food and everything, like I've grown up with is Filipino. So am I not like at all Asian?
Yeah, I'm really thankful that because I am LGBTQ and Asian and Jewish, LUNAR didn't have any trouble showcasing us, putting our faces out there, that I felt like now there's a community, an Asian LGBTQ Jewish group that I would never have met too.
I'd like to think I have this idea that Jews are very open people, and
it depends on the denomination.
I know. I tend to think that and hope that. I hope that about, you know, people in general, that they can be open, you know, and kind.
I'm glad, since like I converted, that being a Reformed Jew, that I feel that I can not separate my identity as a trans man and my, you know, religious self. Like, I can like explore that, versus when, you know, I grew up Christian, it was like you can't, like, those don't go together.
I mean, I think that just echoes the point that I had made earlier about like being a lot more open about being Asian or Jewish, but keeping like my sexual identity just to myself. And maybe that, like I said, I don't know if that's growing up living in a bubble and around San Francisco and like having it not matter, or just deciding personally that it matters less to tell people and that I feel like it shouldn't. Now I'm thinking, like, is there a different reason why that's something that I just feel like I don't need to share? In some ways, like, I wish I could be like some people who are very, like, you guys are very open and like, this is who I am. And I'm just like, it's rare, I guess, for me to ever label myself or stick anything, because my attitude has always been, it's none of your business.
When I started my transition, I wanted to be, I don't know, low key about it. But then some of the changes that I'm feeling, I'm wanting to document that, because I feel like, other people, younger people, need to know some of these changes that they don't tell you about. And it's also like, the more I go in my transition, I don't think I can be like low key about it, because, now it's like, oh, hey, your voice is cracking a lot, or it's deep this like during the night, and it's whatever. And at some point, like, you'll be like, right, like said, right now, like with my kids and everything, like, it's just like, oh yeah, that's a woman. But like, I feel like moving on, I won't be able to like be low key, like, and it'll be like, I don't know, maybe in a couple years it'll be pretty obvious that like me and my husband are in like a gay presenting marriage.
It's both an internal and external struggle, both internal pressure and external pressure. I'm at the point now that I am who I am, and I'm not hiding anymore. If you don't like me, too bad. If you like me, great. Would be a friend.
Pride for me is being comfortable with who I am, learning that I don't need permission to be who I am. And that goes with like all my identities, like Asian. I don't need other people to say like, oh, you are Asian enough. I know I'm Asian enough. I've struggled with that identity. I know that I'm a trans man. I know that I'm Jewish, and I know there's people that are like, oh, well, reformed Jews aren't really Jews or whatever. But like, so pride in all those sections of me, like, is me being comfortable with who I am and not letting people put me in a box.
I think pride has a lot of different, like, I'm proud that I'm here. I didn't think I was going to make it past 18, and definitely past 18 now. So, I get to be who I want and figure out who I am, explore, and just be that same thing. I am who I am, and people can take it or leave it. It doesn't mean I'm not going to keep working on myself and continue to strive to be a better person. No one can change me at my core. I think that's, the most I can ask for.
Be who you are and be visible. Be proud of what you achieve and live on with your life, and not let anybody define who you are and what you're supposed to be.